going on with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, staying blessed. And like I always say, one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right, so let's get it done. With that being said, I hope everybody's subscribing, hitting that like button, sharing my content with everybody. You know, I always try to make it a point to send a message across through my videos and positivity. And with this video today, I'm going to touch a touchy subject because it's in accordance to somebody that asked me a question in accordance to my last video, some further more information. But in order to justify what I'm talking about, I'm going to also bring up a certain situation that kind of got me and a couple of my brothers on the wreck one time. And this is when we really started looking at, you know, the president really different. And it almost destroyed us at one point. So with that being said, he asked me, what's things that you can and can't do on the SNY if you're a non-affiliate? Wow. I could say this. When it comes to like the STG and the drug trade, I have to admit it's sad to say, all STGs on the SNY want to take over the drug trade. That's what makes it so competitive towards one another, and that's why we fight each other so much. Because we all want to be the big dog on the yard. We want to be in control of the pipelines. We want to be the connection. We want to flourish as the biggest and strongest STG group on the SNY side. Now, the thing about it is, I remember a time in Kern Valley, there was two individuals that were from Orange County. And they actually pulled the canteen lady. And they were having sex with her. They were both cellies. And we knew about it. We used to hear about it, but we never really talked about it because it happened over there at the canteen. So we didn't have, like, sound proof of it. This was speculation, you know, gossip, you know, the cheese man on the yard. But then when it came true, is these individuals were coming out to yard and they started selling cell phones to people on the yard for $2,000. Remember I told you, Kern Valley 4 Block was a gang module. They purposely isolated all the STG groups so we can fight amongst each other in the same building and not disrupt the rest of the program. So we had a hard time, you know, flourishing and bringing drugs in because those of us that hit in that block, you know, we're all trying to make the same money off the same people. So we're kind of stepping on each other's toes and hurting because we had no access to the rest of the yard. So we were just, it became more conflict than ever because we were trying to take each other's money. And, you know, so it didn't work. But once them dudes opened up the pipeline for the cell phones, we overheard the Cinqueros and the Zapatistas pretty much saying, hey, man, we're gonna shut, either gonna shut it down or we're gonna put a clamp on it so it could further us STG groups in 4 Block. A lot of us were opposed to it when it comes to my fellow brethren, but some of them are pretty much like, nah, let's join in on this, bro. We all need to win. If not, they're gonna win and we're gonna be just, you know, eating out their hands, and then they got control over us. So we need to get a part of this too. So now it all became a competitive thing of who's gonna start extorting these two individuals. Sad to say, you know, this was a bad time for our STG groups on the SNY. We all started turning into, you know, conniving people, resulting to bad habits and extortion tactics because we all needed to win. We needed to flourish somehow. You know, sometimes it gets like that, and I hate to admit it, but I'm going to admit it. It turns into that oftentimes. Well, these individuals started realizing that we were pressuring them, that we were finding reasons to get out there because they're the canteen people, so they come to our buildings to drop off our canteen. We don't go pick them up. This is level 4 180 design. And they started receiving the threats, and they started receiving the pressure. And eventually, without us even seeing it coming, they had a lot of homies from Orange County. The Orange County car right there on that area was pretty big. And they formulated their own STG gang, which was called the All-Stars. And they finally said, you know what? We're an STG group. You're not going to oppress us. You're not going to extort us. This is our pipeline. So they did it as a means to protect themselves. They recruited a lot of individuals from Orange County. Not just regular individuals. Some of these dudes were hitters. And then they came up out of nowhere and were like, you know what? We're going to protect our people. We're going to protect our Ranfla. And then they had a lot of lifers that had weapons policies like they'll go up. And they did. They went up with the Cinqueros like 3 times, slicing each other up in the faces, talking about, no, you guys are not going to take this pipeline from us. This is ours. And that war went on for about 3 months, kept us on lockdown for 3 months, made the yard dry for like a few months. until finally the Cinqueros just put a stop to it. Like, all right, whatever, man, y'all do your thing. You guys are all-stars. The Zapatistas, the IRs, and us, we didn't really care. We were like, oh, they created their own gang. That's kind of actually smart. Now it plays into the STG rules that we can't infringe on other group segments' business. We can only work hand in hand with them. So they did it smart. They did it real smart until they finally got caught like a year later. But by that time, we all had cell phones. The thing about Orange County Car and the All-Stars is that they had some of the biggest hitters on the yard, bringing it in from Visit. So they were making money. They were rich their first 2 years on that yard. They flourished. They blossomed real well, and they were making a gang of money. And I could see and hear a lot of the jealousy amongst the STG groups because for the Zapatistas, they only had like 2 hitters. We only had like 1. The IRs didn't have any. The Cinqueros, they were too busy extorting everybody. They didn't have no hitters, but they managed to put a clamp on some of the drug trade because they would extort people and oppress people and, punk people. And that's their get down. That's how they did it. And that's how it took place until that pipeline got shut down. And I wound up leaving that facility anyways. But the thing about it, I noticed on the SNY side, like in Kern Valley and Tehachapi, was that STGs make it a point to take all the big jobs. They'll do anything in their power and their means to influence, whether it's the free staff or individuals who are close to the free staff, to get rid of the people that are non-affiliates that just want a job and replace them with STG individuals, because we all have the same mentality. We're going to try to do this. We're going to try to smuggle in this. We're going to try to pull this. We're going to try to steal weapons, metal, bring in drugs, whatever it is that we can do to uplift the STG society. So most of the time, a lot of non-affiliates get replaced. Some of them, most of the time, they can't be porters in the buildings. And if they are, they'll get a strong talk from a lot of STG groups like, hey, bro, you're going to pass our kites, pass our weapons. You're not going to give us any problems. You can keep your job. But more or less, you're going to pretty much work for us. In exchange, most of the time, the porters got blessed. If I ask you to pass a couple of grams to this cell, you're risking your program. I'll give you a little 50 paper. You get high. That'll keep you entertained. But eventually, those porters are going to get replaced by STG members. We want our people on the porter positions and the educational department positions, like the teacher's assistants and R&R porter, because that's where it really goes down, is when you work R&R. That was one of Snoop's biggest things he always wanted, was to get R&R. He'd talk to the cops for days trying to get that position, and they only gave it to a select few until they gave it to a Zapatista one time, and he blew that yard up. He structured that yard for a good 2 years. And that's the thing that I always looked at, like, man, it was wrong, but it was already happening before I got there. Not one man can't change something like that when every STG group thinks the same way. So STGs always take over the non-affiliates positions because we feel like we're going to benefit from them more than somebody who just wants to do their time and go home peacefully. Whether it's the Narcotics Anonymous and AA groups, running the classes, we try to tighten up those groups, tighten up these positions, because we're going to use that for smuggling, communication, and even removals at times. And that's one thing that kind of sucks for the non-affiliates, is that, and it's in the non-affiliates' minds on the SNYs, like, I don't even want those positions because of what it comes with. Because I know I'm going to have to do a bunch of things and compromise my programs on behalf of these STG groups who are not going to care about me and look out for me later. And that's the harsh reality that I didn't understand, but I get it sometimes. Like, we did what we did, and it still goes on to this day. When you're a non-affiliate and you run up a drug debt with an STG group, you have a bigger chance of getting victimized a lot easier and a lot worse, as opposed to being part of an STG group. See, if you're part of an STG group, the general population kind of practices kick in, where I have to go through your whole people. We have to come to terms of agreement and try to find a compromise for us to get paid. I just can't really knock you down. I have the choice to, but then I'll start a gang war, which my people will knock me down later for, and then people are going to get hurt in the midst of this transaction. But if you're a non-affiliate and you owe me like $200, I ain't going to ask permission from nobody to beat you up. I'm just going to beat you up, or I'm going to have your cellie step outside your cell, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take all your CDs, your CD player, hold them as collateral until you pay me, or I'm just going to take you for your food. That's pretty much how the non-affiliates get treated most of the time. There's non-affiliates that'll step up and fight back, and then they usually get And they sometimes, non-affiliates, use that means to fight back to get transferred to another facility that's even better, more luxury, more privileges that are entitled to an inmate. And they're not stuck on these level 4 180s where it's just nothing but misery, fighting, violence, and lockdown. Consistent lockdowns. So I give it to the non-affiliates. They have their ways of combating us back and combating the people that want to do these extortion taxes to the extreme measures to where you're ruining other people's lives and other people's programs as well. So they have no choice but to fight back. You know, you put a dog in the corner, he's going to fight back. That's some things that's different from the STG groups as opposed to the non-affiliates on the SNY side. The SNY, the STG groups, they really can't jump in for non-affiliates. Most of them have, 90% of them have a policy. Besides the Zapatistas, they'll do it if it's only raza. But they're none of our business. So unless it's a race ride and something took place like that, if he has his own personal problems, we're not gonna jump in. Non-affiliates can jump in for us to say if like you guys are from the same hood and you guys are close homies or that's your celly. I've seen non-affiliates jump in for the cellies who are STG affiliated, but if the roles were reversed, the STG groups can't do that. You know, Snoop had it like that for a while, but then I started seeing that Snoop would always send kites out like, hey, man, this guy's he was my celly, this guy's good peeps, or he's from my hood, or I knew him back in the day, you know, protect him, make sure he doesn't get hurt, or jump by these STG groups. And we used to always be like, man, hell no, bro. Like, you said we can't do it, so we're not going to do it for you because per your request. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to abide by that because you made it a point that we can't look outside our own car for other people as friends, you know, and people of mutual benefits to defend. Oh, but say if it's somebody that's a drug connect that he's real close to, that he's been benefiting from, and he has a problem with, you know, other STG groups, he'll be quick to be like, "Nah, we got to protect our interests." Like, why? He's not part of our movement. You know, he was hypocritical in that sense. And one occasion this took place, and I don't even like talking about it because it kind of hurts to this day, and it's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, me speaking about it. But this is what the things that I had to deal with that really crushed my spirits a lot. One of my compas and another individual named Jaybird caught a case, but my boy had only 2 or 3 years left to the pad. So his celly, Jaybird, stepped up to the plate because Jaybird already had like 18, 20 plus years and told him, look, bro, you're going home. I'm not. I'll take the case for you, my boy. It's all good. And it wasn't even his fault. And the homie was like, okay. Homie Jaybird walked up to court in the court proceedings and told the judge, man, I want to plead out and take responsibility for the whole case. The judge granted it. He attached 15 years to his sentence, and the homie got to go home. Only to come back, but he still got to go home. Well, Jaybird had got into it with some cinqueros in a different facility, so they had put him on site. But Jaybird lands into Tehachapi on our yard. And my brother was like, hey, bro, I can't see this fool get jumped, bro. You know, he took 15 years from me. And there was about 5 of us like, hey, bro, jump for him, bro. Man, that man did you a great honor. We respect that, bro. You owe that man for that. That's what Snoop always said. Snoop always said, man, always make sure you pay your debts. That's a debt that needed to be paid back. And we told him, go ahead, bro, and the 5 of us will jump for you, bro. We'll go up. We don't even care about these cinqueros, bro. They may be deep, but we got this, bro. We got this. But the rest were so stuck in their old ways and the ways of the new laws that's been implemented per Snoop that they were like, nah, bro, you got to leave that alone, man. Mind your own business. So now it caused a division around that time for about 2 months until Jaybird came out, and I was telling the rest of the homies, like, bro, how you just gonna tell this man not to defend this dude after what that man did for the homie, how he sacrificed? That homie has that right to defend that guy. Like, man, you guys are just being little, You know, all of a sudden you guys are scared of these dudes. You guys talk a lot of smack about these dudes on the yard every day on a consistent basis. Now when it's time to go up with them, you guys ain't ready for that kind of war. So the rest of us told the homie, like, bro, go ahead. Jump, fool, and then we'll defend you when we go to the hole, and we'll defend you on any yard that you're on. And if need be, bro, we'll go against the homies, we'll fight the homies until they don't like it. Until we come to a realization and resolve this issue. I go, trust me, bro, I ain't tripping. I can take on half of these dudes, bro. The rest of us can take on the rest of them, bro. It's all good. Let's go. And I was convinced that the homie was like, all right, when Jaybird comes out, if they try to jump him, we'll go up. But I needed this man to make the initiative because this was his issue and this was his debt that he needed to pay. And I felt like that man deserved our protection. So when Jaybird finally came out, the rest of the fellas were surrounding the homie like, bro, you better not jump for him, bro. Leave that alone. I know it's going to hurt, my boy, but don't put us all in the wreck. So I wound up pulling the homie to the side. I was like, bro, you better jump, bro. This is your problem. This is your issues. You brought it up. You've been saying this for about a year since you knew Jaybird was on his way over here, that you were going to jump for him. We're ready, bro. We got our bangers. Let's go. And Jaybird came out. We surrounded him, just a few of us. And the Cinqueros kept coming up to the homies. Were like, hey, bro, what's up with your boys, man? Why are they surrounding them? I'm telling them to move out the way. And the homies kept coming up to us, and they were like, hey, bro, you guys need to get away from him. And we're like, nah, bro. The homie's going to jump for him. So the rest of the homies got ready. They're like, well, we can't deny not jumping in, but you guys are going to pay for it. And we were like, that's all good. Well, last minute, I was like, you ready? Because they're coming over here. And the homie goes, nah, bro, we got to let him do his thing, bro. And I looked at the homie like, you serious, bro? You had us out here? Man, you put my life on the line. I'm out here carrying a banger and I go home in 3 years. And you're now you're not going to do it? And he was like, bro, we protect this man. It's cool. We're going to have to fight the homies more than usual, but we're going to lose our careers. And I was like, so what, bro? I lost my career before. That don't matter. Bro, I'm doing this for you, to honor you, bro, to honor him. Like, why can't we jump for this non-affiliate, bro? He did you something that probably none of these homies would have done for you. We got the right to defend this man, bro. Let's go. And he chose not to do it. And I can't fight this man's battles for him. But I hated him for it after this because I had to sit there and watch this young kid get jumped by 50 people. Stabbed in the back of his head, in the back of his neck. He took it like a champ, though. He fought back. Him and his celly did against 50 people. They didn't beat him up that bad. They just poked him a few times. Like, it always made me wonder what Jaybird felt like, man, the disloyalty to another friend. So I used to hate the homie for a while, and then I finally got out of it because I was already dealing with the war between A and B Yard amongst ourselves that I didn't even care no more. But I used to always yell at the homie like, bro, you should have jumped, bro. Like, how am I supposed to count on you when I haven't even made that kind of sacrifice for you? But because Snoop has it in everybody's head, like, if you don't listen to him, you know, you will be dealt with in accordance to breaking the law. That's what sucked, bro. It put everybody's hands tied together, and homies weren't able to think and do for themselves. And it was that moment and that situation that discouraged me so bad where I was like, I'm going to do what I want, bro. If nobody likes it, so the hell what? I'm gonna defend who I want to defend. I'm going to protect my belief system and my interest for the betterment of myself now. I don't care what anybody says, bro. If you don't like it, you can take me to the yard and we can squab all day because I know I may not win them all, bro, but I know I'm going to put up one of the greatest fights of my life, so you better be ready for that. Those are the kind of situations that I had to deal with when it comes to STGs and non-affiliates. We always get put in these weird predicaments that suck. But it's because everybody wants to gain the upper hand on these STGs, SNY yards. These STGs look at it like better us than them. And I've seen a lot of extortion tactics. I've seen a lot of abuse of power and numbers. I've seen it from my own. And I've seen it amongst each other. I've seen homies just have the bigger favor and the majority of vote and knock one of ours down because of a popularity opinion. Sometimes it wasn't even based on facts. Sometimes it wasn't even based on a due process that was even met. An unresolved issue, but instead they say, you know what, we don't even like this guy no more. We don't need him. That's the kind of bloodshed that I've seen on the SNY side that people need to be aware of and be careful of, especially if you're a non-affiliate. Because STG groups look at non-affiliates like, man, we can do whatever we want with them. These are our yards. And I think that's a bad way of looking at it. I looked at it for a couple of years like that. And then I started growing up the moment I started coming home. Like, man, bro, these yards are for everybody. It was my last 2 or 3 years coming home that I started realizing, like, bro, all the stuff that we've been doing in the last 5 or 6, 10 years has been nothing. We're still in the same position we were back then. And we need to grow from that, bro. We need to think bigger. And we need to stop acting like gang members and start growing up and start being who we really are or who we say we want to be. Because what we're doing now and all these practices and listening to these new laws that keep coming out like every other damn month is only destroying us as a people, as a whole. Like, it shouldn't matter what a non-affiliate does. But instead, we can't talk for everybody else, and all STG groups are going to think in a certain fashion and do what they want anyways. So I kind of started feeling sympathetic and sorry for the non-affiliates on the SNYs because even though you go over there for your own peace of mind to do your own program, you still have to worry about whether or not it's going to be dictated by an STG group. And that's the harsh reality. But with that being said, I was kind of glad to get that off my chest and share that story, because it always bothered me to this day. And I've always told myself, like, I will never leave somebody hanging that ever done something for me in that nature, to that extent. And I wish that some other people could do that too, but some people always put their self-interest before others and start following other people's guidance and leadership, even when they know it's wrong. And that's what I learned to stop doing. So with that being said, man, I hope you guys like my story. Hit the link in the description so you can check out all my music. Holy Christ and Keep It On The Real have just uploaded to Spotify and Apple Music. And I will be dropping Rabbit Season for you guys there. And on my membership only, I'm going to drop the music video there so you guys can check it out. Peace.